Hello everyone! As you may already know, a new update 32.5 has been released, which doesn't seem to offer much in terms of new features. However, this is only at first glance. In this video, I will share with you all the Easter egg secrets and achievements that have been stealthily added to this update. Additionally, I will guide you on how to download version 32.5 if you don't already have it. Let's get started! First of all, as some of you already know, there's a new liquid mixing feature, and now you can give NPCs super abilities, such as lightning strikes or fireballs. In my opinion, this is the coolest and most interesting feature in this update. Now, I want to test what happens when you give NPCs all the abilities available in the Flasks tab, so let's check it out. In the end, we got an NPC that has all the abilities. He shoots lightning, sets other NPCs on fire, gives them the virus, and even turns them into skeletons. The next fact that few people have noticed is that a new 38th achievement has appeared. New achievements have not been released in the game for quite a long time, and in honor of Halloween, the developer has decided to please us, and I'm 100% sure that this achievement has something to do with Halloween and mysticism, and in order to obtain it, you need to do something with a pumpkin. If you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments so that we can solve this achievement together. In the next secret fact, I want to tell you how to get 100 hammers from the new event for absolutely free. The thing is, I'm hosting a contest with 3 winners. The conditions are as simple as possible. Just write your opinion about the new update in the comments, and I'll choose 3 random subscribers as winners. I'll log into their accounts and donate 100 hammers to each of them. I wish you all the best of luck. And now I want to tell you how to download this new update. This is very secret information because the update is only available to 5% of players right now, but by watching this video, anyone can download it, so I really hope you subscribe and like it. All you need to do to get the new update is follow the link in the description of this video and download the APK file that I've found just for you. That's it. Hello everyone, in my last video with all the secrets of the new update, I told you that a new 38th achievement has been added to the game, but nothing is known about it yet. Today, I have great news for you. I've discovered the name of this achievement, its appearance, and I've also found a bunch of other new Easter eggs in the game's files. But let's start from the beginning. And the first thing I want to show you is a leak of a new secret weapon. It is called Pumpkin Thrower, and as you have already guessed, this weapon is very similar to Cup Thrower, only it will not shoot mugs, but pumpkins. Now this weapon is not in the game, and that means it must be obtained in a secret way. At first, I thought that you need to mix a pumpkin and cup thrower in Nano Assembler, but unfortunately this is not the case, and the developer this time made the secrets much more difficult to solve. If you have any theories on how to get this weapon, please write in the comments. The next thing I found in the game files are icons of small NPC pumpkins called Little Pumpkin. I have a theory that they are most likely needed for some kind of minigame. Maybe the game will finally have a second basic world like Cake Driver, but we will control these pumpkins, because if you look at these file leaks, you can see that they are made specifically for walking animations, and each file shows the pumpkin's legs in different positions, as if it is running. Well, now for the most interesting part. Take a closer look at this picture. If you don't understand, these are the icons of all the achievements that I could find in the game files, and I think that the most attentive ones have already noticed the new pumpkin icon, which officially confirms that there is a new Halloween achievement in the game. You have no idea how happy I was when I saw this. I spent the whole evening looking for this achievement, but I couldn't find it, and that's not even all the leaks I found in the file. I found 2 more icons called Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Boss 2. Guys, the deeper I go into the game files, the more obvious it is that something big is coming. See for yourself, a new achievement with a pumpkin icon, a weapon called Pumpkin Thrower, 2 separate files Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Boss 2, and a bunch of small pumpkin NPCs with their own walking animations. It's not just jewelry, everything points to a full-fledged Halloween mode hidden somewhere inside the game. There is a possibility that the developer added these files in advance to see the reaction of the players and give the first hints. Maybe the pumpkin thrower is not an ordinary weapon, but an item that is given out only after defeating the boss, or vice versa. They will need to destroy these bosses. Logically speaking, the presence of 2 boss files hints at 2 stages of the battle. First, the usual form, then enhanced, perhaps mechanical, and the most interesting thing here is the new 38th achievement. Most likely, it is related to this hidden mode. Perhaps only those who manage to defeat both bosses or find a secret location with many pumpkins will receive it. While it is inactive in the game, it means that the content is either not yet enabled or requires certain conditions to run. It seems that Halloween this year will not be limited to a simple event with hammers. This is most likely just the beginning. The developer is clearly preparing something bigger. Perhaps update 32.5 will be the introductory part, and version 32.666 will be the finale of the Halloween line, where bosses, new weapons, achievements, and a bunch of hidden details await us. If you also found something strange in the files or notice mentions of new items, write in the comments. I read everything, and more than once it was you who helped me find important details. Perhaps it is in someone's theory that the key to the Halloween secret will turn out to be. And if you want me to continue digging deeper and show even more leaks and hidden fragments, please like and subscribe to the video. It seems that we are waiting for not just a Halloween update, but a real horror inside the game. All the fun seems to be just beginning. Hey everyone! In my previous videos, I told you that in the new update 32.5, in addition to new features and items, there are a lot of Easter eggs that players haven't found yet, but I've been digging through the game files and discovered some interesting things. For example, there's a new achievement, a mini pumpkin NPC, a strange file called Boss Pumpkin, and a new weapon called Pumpkin Thrower. Today, we're going to focus on this weapon. And this is what this weapon looks like. It is very similar to the cup thrower that is already in the game and which shoots mugs. And it is logical that the pumpkin thrower will shoot pumpkins. No one will even argue with this. But how can you get it? And why did the developer decide to add it to the game in a video Easter egg instead of making it available to all players? Let's explore this together. First of all, at first I thought that everything is as simple as possible and all you need to do is mix in the nano assembler, cup thrower, and a regular pumpkin. But unfortunately I did not succeed. The developer decided to make everything much more complicated and confusing. In general, I really noticed that the pashalki and secrets in the game become more and more difficult every time, but at the same time more interesting. Let's take a closer look at the leaked models of this weapon. In the game files, we found 3 files related to this weapon. The first file is an empty version of the weapon. The second file is the charge or bullets, which in this case are in the form of pumpkins, and the third file is the finished version of the pumpkin thrower, which suggests that it will not be like a regular weapon that can be spawned and fired as much as you want, but rather requires manual assembly and has its own mechanics. And all evening I tried to get this weapon in different ways, but I couldn't. But suddenly I remembered that in the files, in addition to the pumpkin thrower, I also found a mini pumpkin NPC, a new achievement, as well as pumpkin icons called Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Boss 2. And here's the theory I came up with. You need to look for not how to get a pumpkin thrower, but how to find a new minigame in honor of Halloween. Think about it, if you find a way to get into a new minigame, you will play as these little pumpkin NPCs who will have a pumpkin thrower in their hands, and you will use it to fight against bosses. If you defeat the bosses, you will unlock a new achievement and permanently add the pumpkin thrower to your weapon tab. For now, I believe this is the most plausible theory regarding the new update. And what do you think? Write your theories and guesses in the comments. Only with the power of the entire community we can solve all the new secrets.
Hello friends, you know that I'm constantly monitoring all the hidden files and updates, and today I have some crazy news for you. Last time we talked about the mysterious 38th achievement that suddenly appeared in the game, but without a description or icon. Back then, no one understood what it meant, and now everything has become much more interesting. I was able to find his appearance, name, and even what this achievement is most likely related to. And to be honest, it feels like the beginning of a whole Halloween story. The first find is a new weapon called the Pumpkin Thrower. At first glance, this is just a version of Cup Thrower, only it doesn't shoot mugs, but pumpkins. But here's the important thing. These weapons are not in the game itself, although they are fully registered in the files. This means that the developer hid it, perhaps as a reward for fulfilling a certain condition. I tried to reproduce different combinations. I connected pumpkins with weapons, tested nano-assembler, nothing worked. And then I thought, what if Pumpkin Thrower is activated not by crafting, but by some kind of event? For example, only during a Halloween event, after defeating a specific enemy, or when finding a secret area. And that's where the puzzle begins to take shape. In the same files, I came across another set of images. Small NPC pumpkins, designated as Little Pumpkin. They have not just sprites, but full-fledged animations of walking and running. That is, they are not static objects, but live characters. This means that they have to move somewhere, participate in some kind of process. And then I had a theory. Maybe a new mode will be added to the game where we will control these mini pumpkins. Something like a separate mini game, perhaps in the spirit of Cake Driver, only with a Halloween entourage with running, traps, and enemies. Moreover, in the code next to these files, there are notes like walk, jump, hurt. That is, this is a really full-fledged game entity. And now the most powerful thing is achievements. I collected all the icons that are available in the game's resources, and among them, I found a new one that wasn't there before, with the image of an ominous pumpkin. This is 100% confirmation. The Halloween achievement exists, it's just inactive for now. But along with this icon, there were two more interesting files, pumpkin_boss and pumpkin_boss._2. Their presence indicates that there are two bosses waiting for us, or most likely, one boss with two phases. The second version weighs more, which means there are more details or effects. Perhaps it's an improved form, such as a cyber pumpkin or an infected mutant. Imagine, you enter a hidden Halloween mode, control a mini pumpkin, fight waves of enemies, get a pumpkin thrower, and at the end, a two-boss fight. And for that, you get that 38th achievement. The scenario sounds perfect. And judging by the data in the code, it is quite real. By the way, I noticed that some of the new lines contain the words Event Multi and Arena Wave. This may mean that an arena mode awaits us, a series of battles with increasing difficulty where you must survive and defeat the main boss. If we recall past Halloween updates, the developer likes to create hidden chains. One item activates another, and that activates a new scene. So maybe the pumpkin thrower is not just a weapon, but a key to trigger the next event or even a portal to a new location. And by the way, there is one interesting detail. In the code next to the pumpkin files, there is a mention of Secret Room Pumpkin. What if there really is a secret room in the game that can only be accessed if certain conditions are met? For example, if you collect all the Halloween items or activate some kind of secret trigger. And now we have a whole theory. Little Pumpkin is a controlled character. Pumpkin Thrower is a weapon for this mode. Pumpkin Boss 1 and 2 are two stages of the final battle. The 38th achievement is a reward for completing the entire event. If this is true, then Melon Playground will receive a full-fledged Halloween story for the first time. And most likely, version 32.5 is just a preparation. But version 32.666 may become the final part of the Halloween arc, with bosses, mysteries, and new Easter eggs. So guys, keep a close eye on the files, check new resources, and if you find anything suspicious, write in the comments. Sometimes it's your findings that become the key to the solution. Please like it if you want me to continue digging deeper and find exactly where this Halloween mode is hidden. I think we haven't seen the most interesting thing yet, and something really big is waiting for us. And the more I study all these files, the more I realize that what lies ahead is not just a Halloween update, it's something much more. There are too many coincidences, too many strange details, and each of them seems to have been specially left so that we could start digging deeper. At first, I thought it was just a pumpkin event, but now everything points to something much bigger behind it. Two different pumpkin boss files, pumpkin thrower weapons, pumpkin achievements, and little walking NPC pumpkins are not just decorations. They are a chain of hints, and if you put them all together, you get a very interesting picture. There may be a whole storyline waiting for us in which Halloween is just the beginning. Look at how everything matches up. Every year, the developer adds more and more complex secrets, and if before we just found syringes, now there are full-fledged bosses and weapons. This means that the game is evolving, and most likely in version 32.666, we will have not just an update, but something like a hidden mode or an event that will change the very structure of the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pumpkin Boss turns out to be the central figure of the entire Halloween arc. Perhaps it will be associated with a new achievement, and in order to unlock it, you will need to defeat both bosses or find a secret room where these mini pumpkins are hiding. But what if it's even deeper? What if this Halloween is a test before something really big, something that will only open in the next update? Perhaps we are seeing the first steps towards a full-fledged plot, where every object, every event will have its own meaning, and Halloween is just a starting point. And the more I think about it, the more convinced I become that the developer is deliberately throwing these crumbs of information at us, watching who will guess first. Maybe the whole event is a test of the players, and those who solve the mystery will get access to hidden content. Perhaps the new achievement is not just a reward, but the key to another part of the game. And that's where it gets really interesting. If the files of Pumpkin Boss 2 really belong to the second form of the boss, then most likely, after defeating the first version, he will return, but in a different form, with new attacks and perhaps even on a different map. And if that's the case, Halloween will add an element of progression and complexity for the first time, which Melon Playground didn't have before at all. Now imagine, Update 32.666 is coming out, you launch the game, and the entire menu suddenly turns dark. The pumpkins blink, the background music changes to the ominous ringing of bells, and the inscription appears. The pumpkin has awakened. And it is at this point that an event is triggered that will last only a few days while the players try to figure out how to activate the boss. And maybe only those who have collected all the keys, hammers, and passed the Halloween event to the end will be able to summon it. It sounds crazy, but Melon Playground has always been a game where madness and logic are intertwined. So if you think you've already figured it out, you're wrong. This is just the beginning, and I'm sure that as soon as the update comes out, we'll find the answers. But with them will come even more mysteries. So right now, write in the comments, what do you think Pumpkin Boss is and what he's hiding? Maybe it's just a Halloween monster, or maybe something much scarier. Write your theories because it is from the comments that the most accurate guesses are often born. Halloween at Melon Playground has already begun, and all the most important things are just ahead.
Hello everyone! Today, we have a really important video because I think I've finally found clues that can reveal all the secrets of the 32.5 update. In previous videos, I've shown you leaks about the new pumpkin thrower weapon, NPC pumpkins, achievements, and the mysterious pumpkin boss files. Under the video, you've written a bunch of theories, and I feel like there's one that's right. I've compiled the most interesting ones, and in this video, we'll go through them step by step to determine which one actually works. Make sure to watch to the end, because closer to the end, I'll show a theory that seems to really reveal the main secret of the update. Let's go! And here is the first comment. It was the most liked under the last video, and it really has an interesting idea. The author writes that Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Thrower are most likely not just items and characters, but part of a whole separate world that may appear in one of the future events. And this already sounds really logical. Perhaps the game will have a separate map or mini-mode for the first time, in which we will not just play for ordinary NPCs, but will get into a completely different universe, the Halloween world. And there we will need not just to fight, but to go through the stages, solve some riddles, and gradually move towards the final boss. And the most interesting thing is that in the comment there is a hint that everything will be connected with animation. That is, not just a set of objects, but something alive, moving pumpkins, a reactive world, new effects. Perhaps this time the developer really decided to make the update more story-like. Imagine if we are waiting for a full story, you get into a dark Halloween world, find a pumpkin thrower, move further and further, and at the end you will find a huge pumpkin boss, and after defeating it, you will get a new achievement. And if this is really so, then this will be the first time in the history of Melon Playground when an update will have not just content, but a structure, a beginning, middle and end, like in a real game. Now let's look at the second theory. It is completely opposite to the first. The author writes that small pumpkins are not our allies, but on the contrary, the boss's assistants. And this, by the way, sounds really interesting. If you think about it, it makes sense. In the game files, we have seen not only the icon of the usual pumpkin boss, but also Pumpkin Boss 2. And perhaps, just in the second form, the boss will call for help, little pumpkins, which will begin to attack the player. Not directly, of course, but for example, they can interfere with you to recharge the pumpkin thrower, jump under your feet, block attacks, or even explode next to you. And if this is really so, then for the first time in Melon Playground, there will be interaction between enemies, that is, not just one object against another, but a whole bundle where there is a main boss and his minions. This is already more like a full-fledged game mechanics, and not just an Easter egg. By the way, I also thought about this. Maybe little pumpkins will appear at different stages of the event, and the more you defeat them, the stronger the boss himself becomes. And that's when the pumpkin thrower is no longer just a weapon, but a key to survival. Because the more you destroy little pumpkins, the more difficult it is to fight the boss himself, as if the game adapts to your behavior. If the developer has actually created such a system, it will be the first step towards transforming Melon Playground from a simple sandbox into a game with dynamics, development, and balance. And here is the third comment, which, to be honest, surprised me a little. It was written by the user Rainerworld, and in it he argues that in order to open the pumpkin boss, you must first defeat the little pumpkins, then find a way to get the pumpkin launcher, and only after that fight the boss himself. And the most interesting thing is that he assumes that the boss will have a second form. And this is where the most interesting part begins. Melon Playground has never had bosses with phases, meaning that the same enemy has multiple stages. If this is true, it will be the most extensive event in the game's history. Let's consider how this could work logically. First, you complete the event by breaking pumpkins, then small pumpkin NPCs appear and you fight them. Eventually, you unlock the pumpkin thrower. Then the pumpkin boss himself appears, but after you defeat his first form, he summons all the little pumpkins back, merges with them, and transforms into a second, more powerful form. And here's the most important part: Rainerworld writes that the second form can only be defeated using explosive weapons. And this sounds very plausible, because in previous updates, the developer has already added mechanics where the damage from different types of weapons is calculated differently. For example, plasma, fire, and chemical liquids do not have the same effect. It's possible that there will be a new destruction physics, where the boss won't be able to be damaged by normal weapons until you create an explosion. If this is true, then Pumpkin Boss 2 might not only be stronger, but also virtually invincible to all but certain types of attacks. And the coolest part is that it even explains why there are two different icons for Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Boss 2 in the game files. Maybe the first one is just the visual part, and the second one is after the mutation, when the boss combines with the little pumpkins and becomes a giant. And if all of this turns out to be true, then we could actually get the first full-fledged storyline in Melon Playground, with stages, forms, weapons, and an achievement reward. And here's the next comment, which, to be honest, I didn't even understand at first. It's written in Portuguese, but I've translated it. And now, guys, hold on, because this might be one of the strangest yet intriguing comments of all time. The author writes that he was able to obtain a pumpkin weapon, but it requires placing 5 pumpkins and paying for them, and he claims that there are 2 other methods, but they are somewhat random. It might work or it might not. And the most interesting thing he adds is, sometimes it works after an hour. This is where things get really interesting. If he's right, it's possible that the secret is indeed tied to time, not objects or combinations, but the duration of your time in the game. Let's say you activate an event, place 5 pumpkins, and wait for about an hour. After that, a pumpkin weapon appears somewhere. And if you think about it, it's quite in the developer's style after all. He often makes secrets that can't be opened instantly, but you need to wait or perform several actions in a certain sequence. Maybe this is the very way that everyone is looking for, just no one thought of leaving the game on and waiting. And now I really have a desire to check it out myself, to put 5 pumpkins, not to touch anything, and just wait. Because if in an hour there really will be a pumpkin thrower, it will be, perhaps, the most crazy but cool secret in the history of Melon Playground. And if it's not, then this comment just happened to coincide with some visual bug, but you have to admit, it sounds like there might be something to it. And now, guys, here's the interesting part. After all these comments, theories, and leaks, I've come up with a really strange but logical picture in my head. Look at all these files, leaks, mini pumpkins, weapons, achievements, and even the names Pumpkin Boss and Pumpkin Boss 2. It all seems to be connected in a chain. So guys, I strongly advise you don't rush to leave the game. Experiment. Try to place 5 pumpkins, wait a little, activate the event. Maybe it will work for you all, and most importantly, be sure to write in the comments if you found something, because this is how we find all these secrets. Well, if there really is a new secret in the next few hours, don't worry, I'll make a separate video and show you everything I find. So, subscribe, click the bell, and be ready, because I think the second part of the Halloween update is closer than we think.